Although it has been more than 2 weeks after his collision with Kyle Larson, Bubba Wallace simply can't seem to get a break, and the consequences just won't seem to end. The accident itself was really a weird one, which is one very important reason for that. Hello NASCAR fam, and welcome back to NASCAR Live. But before we begin, subscribe to our channel and hit the like button. Wallace has expressed regret for his behavior and apologized for his acts, but it doesn't change the fact that he is a reckless driver who requires appropriate punishment. The owner of the 2311 racing team, Michael Jordan, did just that. However, co-owner Hamlin wasn't too pleased with it. Michael Jordan was chosen to fine Bubba Wallace $1 million for his misdeeds. Yes, Bubba will lose a staggering $1 million due to the fact that he purposely crashed into Kyle Larson. Despite the fact that this has not been made public, sources claim that Wallace's attack on Larson was actually unwarranted and uncalled for by numerous experts and reporters. Wallace's ban should be carried over for the remainder of this year, as Kyle Petty requested. They claim that this will serve as a better lesson for the 2311 racing driver than the one race ban he was awarded for the Miami Motor Speedway. Many people are puzzled as to why Wallace was given such a severe punishment by his own team. Well, the incident took place in the midst of the melee. Wallace was still involved in this fight, but by crashing with Larson, he effectively eliminated two drivers' prospects of competing in the Championship 4 in Vegas. He also nearly destroyed Christopher Bell's opportunity. Bubba Wallace earns over $2.2 million annually, making the $1 million fine almost half of his salary. Truly a huge sum of money. You can be sure that Michael Jordan did this with good intentions, and Bubba will learn his lesson the next time he decides to meddle with other drivers' races. Hamlin was instructed to leave the premises when he attempted to approach Michael Jordan about the penalty. 2311 told me to get out of the building for the next 2 weeks and go concentrate on achieving a championship for myself. However, this won't be possible during the final race in Phoenix, since Chastain's maneuver, which was praised for being both daring and foolish, eliminated Hamlin from contention. Wallace, though, is incurring additional financial losses as a result of Kyle Larson. He was hit with a $1 million fine from his owner Michael Jordan 3 years prior. At the time of the major charge from Larson, Bubba was forced to lose $50,000. $50,000 wasn't a quantity of money to play around with during the 2019 season. At the Texas Motor Speedway, Larson claimed that Bubba Wallace intentionally spun and raised the caution flag. Larson was one of the motorists who was immediately impacted by the warning. Wallace acknowledged the planned nature of his actions, as well as the fact that they weren't really suitable for that race. Although he stated, "I learned it from Keselowski and Logano, but I'm not the only one to do it." In his post-race interview in 2019, it was still truly fascinating and revealing. "Instead of competing for Larson or Chevrolet, I'm racing for myself." Having been found guilty of purposefully causing or attempting to initiate a caution period, Wallace was immediately punished in accordance with Section 10.8. Having paid just $2.2 million in fines after 3 years, Wallace now faces a punishment that might put an end to his career. The severity of the penalty, not his income, is the issue. If this punishment is implemented, it appears like Wallace may rethink his decision to continue competing in NASCAR. The fact that Wallace's $1 million punishment will be paid by his team rather than NASCAR, owing to the lack of penalties imposed by 2311 Racing, is what makes this situation even more intriguing. Wallace didn't adequately represent our beliefs on the racetrack, according to Hamlin, who also said he understands where I stand, where the team stands, and what we want to portray on the track. Wallace's actions at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway were highlighted by Hamlin. Wallace's place in NASCAR isn't really there, as evidenced by last week's penalties, if he intends to continue with shenanigans like the one in Las Vegas. What works against him is what he stated in his first interview following Las Vegas, when he argued that every action that involves chipping other drivers should be punished equally. "I definitely learned my lesson, but we have to be consistent no matter if it's here at Martinsville or if it's at Daytona. I totally accepted the penalty and the repercussions that came from my actions. I talked to Steve O'Donnell and I talked to Phelps, and I said, hey, I'm good with being the example if we can keep this consistent moving forward, because it happened multiple times this year, and it's something that may still continue to happen for other drivers down the road," says Wallace. The discussion was enjoyable. It goes without stating that Wallace's aspirations are in vain, and that his anticipation that everyone will be punished for genuinely racing the way they should race is just pure fantasy, because if his rule were to be followed, we might have races where there wouldn't be even drivers in the first place. Considering that everyone will face consequences. Well, driving Kyle Petty has been really enraged with Bubba Wallace, and the way he has been acting lately. According to him, the punishment that Wallace received is truly a joke, and he should be handed a penalty that would definitely affect him and make him think about circumstances like this again. With the exception of the fact that he may only levy financial penalties rather than outright disqualifying drivers from races, it appears like Michael Jordan holds on to this story. As long as he drives for Denny Hamlin, who has spoken out in favor of his teammate Kurt Busch's safety, he ought to have been punished for the remainder of the season. His teammate's career was all but over after an accident in this car, which is the only reason he is driving the number 45 car. It must also be safer, as the drivers have expressed. He deliberately steers a driver in the right rear into the outside wall, which is ludicrous, and then exits the vehicle and crosses the racecourse. First of all, you're purposefully harming someone. He is walking across the racetrack, and vehicles are passing him on both sides. That is not secure. Another suspension is necessary. A physical confrontation would be to confront the driver who shoved the victim. He physically confronts the driver, shoves the official who refused to get in an ambulance, marches back to the pits, and then stands in broad face and tells a fib. If I do that on the sidewalk, I'll be in jail somewhere. The lesson should be for the rest of the year just for me. Wallace claims that he talked to Kyle Larson and that he has learned from the race in Las Vegas. Wallace continued, "I've got to consider before you do step back, and seeing from a 10,000-foot view absolutely could have handled everything completely better." Wallace also discussed what he has learned from this experience. "I damaged my reputation. I misrepresented our team, and looking forward, I'm not proud of it. You must not repeat that error moving forward." Wallace added that his team was understanding of the situation after he spoke with them. He discovered that he could relate to the urgency of the situation. He tried to stop them, but they insisted that we handle those 5 seconds quickly and then worry about it afterwards. The greatest thing was that they still back me and we are here. As I previously stated, you need to consider before you act. Now we just need to go out and keep this team growing. It is therefore safe to conclude that Wallace's punishment will be extremely difficult for him and his NASCAR career. And there is a real possibility that Wallace's involvement in the sport for all the right reasons may come to an end. Having said that, what do you think of Jordan's punishment to Bubba's head? Do you believe that the 2311 racing driver deserves this kind of punishment? Or do you feel that it's simply too harsh? And that ends today's episode. We sincerely hope you enjoyed the video. If so, please click on the like button and share it with your friends and family. If you have any questions or comments, please share them with us in the comments space below. Also, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel to see even more of our incredible videos. You can also check out our other videos that have been specially selected for you. We'll catch up in the next video.